So, as you're all aware, Give Local York launched last year with the support of great philanthropists in our community like Mr. Bob Lowe is here with us today. It's coordinated by Meagan Given, her along with her 30 Give Local warriors have been diligently planning for our Day of Giving here in York on May 3rd, which is this Friday. Last year, as you'll recall, they had a goal of $1 million and blew that out of the water. And I have no doubt that with the support of many of you in this room, including your organizations, along with our fundraising efforts here at Rotary, that we should be able to exceed that amount going forward. Part and parcel of that is a bit about what we are doing out of the Rotary Club this year. Our keynote recipient this year will be the York Academy in supporting fundraising for their biology and chemistry lab build-outs. It's a great project that was identified by the leadership of our club. It pulls a lot of the levers that we support. It's in the city, it's for kids, and it's for science and technology. So I think it's a great effort that we're supporting this year. Our schedule of events on Friday will be kicking off. We'll be interviewed by Fox 43 at about 7 in the morning, I believe. So President Bryan and some of the folks from the York Academy will be live and doing a science experiment at that time. Then in the afternoon, starting at 12:30, please don't come any earlier than that. The kids up through 8th grade have PSSAs. But at the upper school, we'll be doing 3 live experiments at 1, 2, and 3 o'clock. And then we'll be hosting, actually your academy will be hosting a tailgate from 4 to 7 before you can make your way up to the events going on in the square, ultimately culminating with the big announcement and the silent disco going on at the Appel Center. To tell us a bit about the Academy and their STEM efforts, we have Dr. Michael Lowe, who's the head of the upper school. He's been with the York Academy for 4 years. Spent a number of years with the York City School District, Red Lion, and the district out in Montgomery County. Sorry, I'm blanking on that. Cheltenham Township. And then we have Michaelina O'Rourke, who's a 9th grader at the York Academy right now. And in talking to her, she has more than exceeded what my math abilities are. So we're looking forward to having you tell us a bit more about what we're raising the funds for this year. But Megan, I'd like to bring you up on stage.
Good afternoon. Thank you. So when I was here last year, around this time in advance of Give Local, telling you about this weird new event that we were bringing to York County, I got some feedback after that presentation, and I heard from multiple people. They said, you did really good. You were very loud. So I think as long as I have that baseline level, I don't know how much of the content you took away with, so I'm going to try to give a little bit of a refresher course today and also be just as loud. So when I was here last year and I was introducing Give Local York, I think some of you probably also thought that Bob and I might be a little bit nuts, that we were planning to raise $1 million in just 24 hours. And at the end of the day, of course last year we did not raise $1 million. We raised almost $1.5 million in 24 hours. So we raised on May 4th, 2018 last year, $1,478,887 for 211 York County nonprofits, and that was just in 24 hours. So that was 9,411 gifts from 5,769 individual online donors, 765 individual offline donors, representing half a dozen countries from around the world, 46 states in the USA. This year we're shooting for all 50. That was more than 6 gifts per minute for 1,440 minutes. And the greatest news, I think, out of all of that is that 50% of those gifts came from brand new donors that day. And that's what's really important about Give Local. We're trying to reach new people and introduce this wonderful feeling of philanthropy to a whole new community. So another key piece I want to share with you is that based on metrics from those participating organizations, we learned that those funds we raised last year will benefit 2,383,091 people. So that's patients, patrons, dogs who are being rescued. That's across the community. And that also shows to us, you're probably saying, Megan, there are only 450,000 people in York County. So that also shows that a lot of our residents are using the services of more than one organization, right? So we're touching all of our neighbors, and even if you might not directly benefit from the services of an organization, you can bet that your neighbor does, or someone from your church does, or a kid in your kid's classroom does, and that's what this is really all about. So this year, this Friday, May 3rd, we're doing it again, and we decided we're going to go a little bit bigger this year. So our goal is $3 million in 24 hours. We have 320 organizations who are participating this year. And I would love if you could, everyone in this room, just raise your hand if you're associated in any way with an organization that's participating in Give Local York. Almost every, well, and yes, a Rotary Club, so of course you should all have your hands up. But that's so many organizations that are benefiting York County. Ms. Holden, why do you have your hand up? Right, so as someone pointed out, I brought a prop today. This is my daughter, Holden. She is here not only because she is a York Academy student, she is a York Day Nursery graduate, she plays T-ball for Little League, and she's actually also a Give Local York participant herself. She's fundraising to build a dog park in York City. So she's my prop today, and I thought some cuteness, wouldn't hurt to remind you of what we're doing here. So a little bit of a refresher course. Give Local York is a 24-hour giving spree. It starts right at midnight Friday morning, and it goes all the way until 11:59 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Friday evening. So the mechanism for giving mostly takes place online. You go to givelocalyork.org, and you can search for the organization or organizations of your choice. Each participating organization has their own profile page. They have a direct link that I'm sure they've been sending you via email or Facebook so that you can go directly to that page. You can also search for them on the site. You can also search for causes that you care about. And I think you'll find that no matter what you're passionate about, there's an organization doing that work in York County. Anything from food insecurity to healthcare, early childhood education, animal rescue, women's issues, the environment. You want it, we've got it. We're making it very easy for you to part with your dollars and support causes that are close to your heart on Friday. So you can make your gift online with a credit card. New this year, you can also make an ACH transfer. The minimum amount of donation with a credit card is just $10. So we're sending the message that anyone can be a philanthropist. You don't have to have a trust fund. You don't have to be a wealthy person to support a cause you care about. The minimum donation amount for an ACH transfer is $100, and that has a flat $3 fee no matter of your donation size. For those of you who are a little bit more old school and want to use paper and pen, you can also make a gift, an offline gift we call it, check or cash directly to the organization that you want to support. So if you want to do that, you'll coordinate directly with that organization, walk up to them, hand them your check, and they have a mechanism for entering that in offline so that they get credit for that in the system. So all of the gifts that come in during Give Local York are stretched by a pool of funds that Bob and I and our volunteers have worked hard to build along with our community sponsors. This year we have $355,000 worth of stretch pool dollars. $245,000 of those are going to be shared among all participating organizations, and then the rest we have some designated stretch pools, some for the United Way partner agencies, some for arts and culture organizations thanks to the Cultural Alliance, we have one for early childhood education organization, some for organizations in Hanover. So $355,000 are going to be added on top of all of the dollars that we raise together as a community, and then on top of that, we also have $24,000 worth of prizes that organizations can win that day in some fun competitive games, some random prizes, golden ticket prizes, and some of those prizes will actually be awarded at the All-Star Game on July 10th. That's thanks to the York Revolution and People's Bank Park. We're calling them our All-Star prizes, and those are being awarded to organizations who really followed the best practices, really put their heart into their campaign, and put together some really amazing Give Local campaigns. So when you all come to the All-Star Game at People's Bank Park on July 10th, you'll be there for the announcement and the awarding of those special All-Star prizes. So I've covered stretch pool, I've covered prizes, I've covered how to give. Let me cover the party. So Give Local York is not just about raising money. This whole day is meant to be a celebration of York County. This is a day to support the nonprofits that support us every day, to say thank you, but also to take pride in what we have built together as a community. So there are activities and events going on, more than 50 of them, all across the county, starting at 7 in the morning, from Dillsburg to Delta, from Hanover to Hellam, and everywhere in between. You have some programs on your table here. There's also some that you can take with you. You can also find all of the events online. So this is a day of celebration. It's a chance for you to get to know these organizations one-on-one and engage with them. This will, of course, come to a head at First Friday in downtown York, kicking off at 5 p.m. We have more than 75 organizations who are taken to the streets. They'll be in Continental Square, they'll be in Beaver Street. We have performances in the square. We have a karaoke battle hosted by Community Progress Council, and there are some local celebrities who are competing in that karaoke contest. I think Elvis is going to be there. There might be a horse. I mean, it turns into the Wild West. It really does. It's just kind of a crazy fun experience. You have to be there. And then the whole evening culminates with the Big Give Party at the Appel Center, which will kick off at 7 p.m. We have live music, we'll have a silent disco, and for those of you who are not familiar with what a silent disco is, we have a DJ, and everyone who participates gets a set of headphones. There are 2 channels, and you hear the music in your ears, so you're there, dancing, but to bystanders, you look like you're crazy because they cannot hear the music. It's a lot of fun, trust me. We have a photo booth, we have an interactive social media wall, and then the final big finale party kicks off at 10:30 in the Capitol with Central City Orchestra and MCs from Warm 103 and WFBA. I've been promoting it sort of like New Year's Eve, right? So we're counting down to midnight, we're counting up that grand total, and we're celebrating what we've done together. Now, if you're not a night owl, and you prefer to join the fun from the comfort of your couch in your pajamas, you can also tune in to Fox 43 because they will be live from the Big Give Party starting at 11 p.m. So you can be there with us in spirit if you can't hang in with the cool kids until midnight. So, everyone clear on what Give Local is? We good? We're feeling good? Okay. So to bring it home, what I'd love to do is to pass the mic over to Dr. Michael Lowe and Michaelina from York Academy so that they can tell you what your Rotary dollars are going to be supporting and the project that we as a club are participating in on May 3rd. So thank you so much. I'm going to hand it over.
So hello and thank you to everyone here at the Rotary Club having us from the York Academy join you today to talk to you about what we do at the York Academy. My name is Michael Lowe and I'm the proud headmaster at the York Academy Upper School. I've been with the York Academy for 4 years and I have a student with me today joining me. Let Michaelina introduce herself.
I'm not that tall. Hi, I'm Michaelina. I'm a student at York Academy, and I think the way that York Academy teaches science has really made me realize how much I like to experiment and do things wrong just to do it again.
So our presentation today is going to be a story based on pictures. We took into account, would you be able to see the words on the video and everything, and we thought a picture is worth 1,000 words. So with that, let's start the story. You'll see a typical picture of a traditional classroom. This is one of 3 of our chemistry or science labs. This is actually the lab. You'll see that we have the students all set up safely with goggles and aprons to keep themselves from getting hurt. But what I want to draw your attention to is the fact that we don't have all of the equipment needed in order to take care of our science projects. You'll see 2 of the students holding the beaker over top of a flame trying to create their chemical reaction. We at the York Academy want more for the children, and we know that we can set them up of what they would have in companies that they're going to run in the future and colleges that they will soon attend after attending the York Academy. This next picture, you see 3 of our 8th grade students, some in attendance today, working with 2 of our 3D printers. Again, this is something that brings great joy to the students at the York Academy. However, we want to go above and beyond, and we have already put in motion working with 2 community members that have worldly experiences working with 3D printers, and they will be working with our students next year in connections with the community. Our students are also very active with the science fair. We just started the science fair activities last year, so this was our 2nd year involved in the science fairs. What you are seeing here are 2 of our students making their presentations. The one has to do with fingerprinting analysis, the other aging and the Stroop effect. 2 more pictures of students working on their science fair projects. The first picture is salinity and the effect water has on putting out fire. And then the second has to do with Fortnite, and I'm sure a lot of you know what Fortnite is or have some sort of connection, but this student was connecting adrenaline rushes to playing Fortnite, and he did tell me that he was able to prove his hypothesis correct. This next picture is actually one of my favorite pictures because it shows the intensity of what our students do at the York Academy when they put all of their efforts into learning. Here's a student working with technology and a prosthetic to figure out how to better play an instrument such as the drums or the guitar should you not be able to because of a limitation or a disability. And a follow-up picture. And then the last picture that I'm going to share before turning the microphone over to Michaelina. We do an awful lot at our school, but we branch out beyond our school as well, and we work with the community. This is a picture of some of our students from the York Academy at the Martin Library, and they're connecting with York Exponential, individuals from the library, and it's purely focused on science. I'd like to finish my part of this presentation with the fact that we do great things at the York Academy. I couldn't be more proud of our children. They are going to be the future, and I just want to thank you in advance for all of the work and your interest in the York Academy, making it better for our students as well. So now I'll turn the microphone over to Michaelina.
So hi, I'm Michaelina. I've been going to York Academy since way back when it opened in 2011. So I can tell you that our science labs have definitely gotten better. I mean, I remember when our science labs just used to be the desks that we did math on. So I definitely tell you it's gotten better over time. And as our science areas have evolved, so have the ways that we've learned and the information that we've been provided and been shared. And so in this next slide here, I'd like to talk about the fact that my classmate over here got the lucky job of getting to hold a beaker over a fire for a good 10 minutes. And Dr. Lowe showed this earlier, and I wanted to point out the fact that although this was a very fun activity, I don't think that just holding a beaker over fire is the best way to use our time. And so I think that although this experiment did teach us a lot in what we were doing at the time, I think that just simple basic materials such as just a stand to hold a beaker could do a lot to give students like myself more time to understand more what we're doing rather than having to wait for something to burn over a fire. So, if I could use this, thank you. Ugh, I'm even too old to use technology. Here you can see a hydroponics project that we did this year. And this picture has two of the best experiments that were done in our grade for this project. And you can see here that these experiments required a bit of materials. As you can see in the bottom middle picture, and someone made a full frame out of wood in their basement for their experiment. And the thing about these experiments is that they did require a good bit of amount of materials, but they also led to a lot of in-depth understanding and research into what we were doing. And something I found with York Academy is that with our diverse community, with that comes a community with a lot of different people with different access to resources and materials. And I think that a lot of people at our school have the potential to do a lot, but they don't feel like they have the resources available to them to explore what they want to do with the experiments that they're doing. And so I wanted to give an example of things that we can do that's really impressive with the science that we're learning, if we could just have the materials ready and available for us to feel free to do it. So in this picture right here, you can see a robot that some of our students made classmates made at the end of the school day. And so this is just to show that we are trying to get involved in robotics. And I know that next year we're hoping to have a robotics team, which I hope I can get onto. And so we've seen how the world, is moving towards robotics and technology. And so hopefully with more funds, we ourselves can, move with the world and learn more about robotics and coding and things like that. And then here you can see a bridge that some people made out of Legos at the end of the day at school during their flex period. And this is just to show that we are trying to touch a lot of different subjects like architecture. And although this is pretty simple with just Legos, we're hoping that we can try and touch a lot of different topics to get students to get to explore what they want to do with things such as architecture. So to talk about the science fair a little, so what we did at school, we had a lot of freedom into what we wanted to do for our science fair experiments, as long as they had to do with science at all. And so a lot of different topics of science were touched throughout the science fair. So here in this picture, you can see one of my classmates talking about making natural dyes and how you can make natural dyes with the same color as artificial dyes. Then in this picture here, my classmate's talking about renewable resources and comparing which renewable resources are the most effective. And so even though a lot of types of science were touched when we were making our science fair projects, I still think that a lot of students, including myself, felt really limited in what we could do because we didn't feel like we had the resources available to do what we wanted to do. For example, if someone wanted to do something with cells, but they didn't have a microscope at home and the microscopes at school weren't advanced enough to be used to see small parts of a cell, then they just immediately wrote it off and moved on because they didn't feel like they could look into that science even if they were interested. So to talk about my personal experience, I got second place in the junior division in the York County Science and Engineering Fair. And so my project that I did for the science fair had to do with behavioral technology. So it didn't really require a lot of materials. I just needed a projector and some paper. So my personal project, it didn't really require too much in terms of materials. But even when I was trying to decide what I wanted to do, although I do find behavioral science really interesting, I felt limited myself in what I could look into. Because personally, I thought something with chemistry or biology would have been really interesting, but I didn't feel like I had the right materials or the safety protections, or just I didn't think I'd be able to get the chemicals I would need for certain experiments, that I kind of just glossed over it and moved on. And I think that's the real reason why it's so important for us at York Academy to have materials available. Because I think a lot of students at our school are very capable of using their own curiosity to look out into the world and understand more about science and use their curiosity to help teach others and themselves more about what they're already learning in school. And I think that just having those materials available will help to make those people feel encouraged to really reach their true potential. So thank you for listening, and if anyone has questions, now's the time to speak.
Go ahead, yes.
Michaelina, where do you hope to head in the science field?
Honestly, I'm not really sure. I really like psychology, and for my project I did this year, I was looking how people would agree with everyone else in a group, and so I was looking to how people are affected by people around them, and I think that the way that humans interact with others is really interesting, so maybe something like psychology. Yeah.
Yes.
To properly outfit your science labs, what kind of dollars are we talking about?
So the question was, to properly outfit the York Academy, what sort of money are we talking about? And the round figures that I have seen is anywhere from $30,000 to $80,000 is what we're looking to raise for the York Academy. And are there any other questions for the two of us? Yes, sir.
In the robotics work, have any of your students been with the 2.5 team?
So the question is, with the work that's been done thus far at the York Academy in the area of robotics, has anybody worked in the 225 team? And the answer is not yet, but we are interested in moving forward with that. We are in the infancy stage as far as the robotics team is concerned, but we are looking to get that off the ground next year. And like Michaelina just said, she's one of the candidates that wants to be part of that club.
Question.
Yes?
What's the 225?
The question is, what is the 225 team? I'm going to actually rely on this gentleman back in the back to help us out with better explaining it.
That's a team from York. This is first, Meagan Given and this all over the world. And 225 is, they've been here, of course, and taught, but they're one of the top, probably 30 teams in the world. So that's rather than doing your own thing, if you get students involved with that, they're very advanced, very good.
And that is key. If you have a little bit of a foundation to start and build off of what other people have had or other teams have had as far as experience and experience. We have a teacher that has worked in the area of robotics at a previous school. We were fortunate enough to bring him into our program, and then next year we're looking to have him start the project with us. And are there any other questions then for us? Then with